There's a moment in life when you stop apologizing for existing, a moment when something deep inside you rises up and says, enough. It's not violence, it's not revenge, it's something much older, much more powerful. It's the awakening of your inner guardian. Maybe you're feeling it right now, that fire in your chest that ignites when someone crosses an invisible line, when words cut like cosmic blades, when you realize you're bleeding energy for people who don't even notice your dimensional wounds. This fire has a name. Ancient mystics called it the flame that protects. Alchemists knew it as the inner dragon. Modern psychologists barely scratch the surface when they talk about healthy boundaries. But this isn't a conversation about pop psychology. This is a transmission about the most powerful spiritual technology that exists. Your innate ability to become impenetrable to the entropic forces of the universe. Close your eyes for a second. Take a deep breath. Can you feel it? That part of you that was never touched, that remained intact despite everything. It's your quantum core of consciousness, the cosmic singularity of your soul that exists beyond linear space-time. It's about to wake up, and when it does, you'll understand why some people seem to walk through life with an invisible force field, while others are constantly invaded by parasitic energies. Let's go back to the beginning, not to your physical birth, but to the moment you learned to betray yourself, what Jung would call your first archetypal fragmentation. Maybe you were 5 years old, maybe 10. Someone invaded your space, physically, emotionally, or energetically. It was a violation of what Viktor Frankl described as your inviolable inner space. That dimension of the psyche that even in concentration camps cannot be touched without consent. You wanted to scream, you wanted to push back, you wanted to say no with every fiber of your quantum being. Your soul was trying to activate what Tibetan mystics called diamond wrath, not destructive anger, but the protective force that preserves the integrity of personal dharma. But then came the voice of social programming. Be polite, don't be selfish. Good people forgive. Good people don't feel anger. And so, layer by layer, you learned to swallow your sacred fire, to transform your protective rage into self-destructive guilt, to trade your natural protection for external approval, a Faustian bargain most people make without even realizing it. Here's the truth. Nobody told you. Every time you swallowed a no, you created a hole in your energetic aura. Every time you smiled when you wanted to cry, you taught the universe that your boundaries were negotiable. Carl Jung identified this as the process of persona formation, the social mask we create to survive, but which eventually consumes us. It's as if you were a house and, brick by brick, you removed your walls. To be more welcoming, they said. To let the light in, they promised. But houses without walls aren't welcoming. They're ruins, and ruins only attract what feeds on decay. And now you're here, wondering why you feel so exposed to destructive psychic currents. Why toxic people always find you as if you're emanating a specific quantum signal. Why you attract the same patterns repeatedly, as if you're trapped in a temporal loop of similar experiences. The answer is simple and devastating. You were trained to be penetrable to low-frequency energies. Your energetic architecture was compromised from childhood, creating entry points for what shamans call energy vampires, entities or people who feed off others' life force. But here's the cosmic secret. This primordial wound also contains the code for your healing. As Rumi said, the crack is where the light gets in. Your vulnerability, when consciously integrated, becomes the portal to your invulnerability. In every mythology in the world, there's a figure, the guardian of the threshold. It's not coincidence. It's what Jung would call a universal archetype, a primordial pattern inscribed in humanity's collective unconscious. In ancient Egypt, it was Anubis, watching the passage between dimensional worlds. In Greece, Cerberus protected the boundaries of the psychic underworld. In Tibet, the wrathful deities guard the portals of enlightenment, not out of cruelty, but out of cosmic necessity. Notice something crucial. These guardians aren't evil. They're necessary. They understand that not everything should pass, that discernment isn't cruelty, it's cosmic wisdom, that protection is an aspect of love, not its antithesis. You have this same guardian inside you. Jung found it in his patients' dreams, a fierce figure that appeared when the psyche was under attack. He called it the transcendent function of anger, the mind's ability to transform invasion into individuation, to convert trauma into transformation. But our culture did something terrible. It demonized the guardian, called it anger issues, medicated it, suffocated it with misunderstood love and light mantras. ignoring that even in the highest spiritual traditions, there's recognition of sacred wrath, the force that protects. What is sacred? It's like pulling the teeth from a lion and then wondering why it can't hunt anymore. Or removing the body's immune system and expecting it to remain healthy. Your inner guardian isn't the problem, its absence is. Think about this. Have you ever noticed how some people just aren't bothered? You can try to manipulate them, pressure them, guilt them, and nothing sticks. It's like they have an invisible force field around their essence. They do. It's called integral presence, and it's born when you stop apologizing for your sacred fire. Viktor Frankl discovered this in Nazi concentration camps. He realized that even when everything was taken away, there was one thing they couldn't touch: his inner response, his choice of how to be in the world. But he went further. He discovered that when you fully claim that choice, when you become fiercely protective of your inner space, something shifts. You stop being a victim, even in victimizing circumstances. Joseph Campbell identified this in what he called the hero with 1,000 faces, the universal journey where the protagonist must find and integrate their protective warrior aspect before they can return transformed to the ordinary world. But here's the part our culture forgot. The spiritual warrior doesn't fight external enemies. They guard the sacred territory of the soul. They are the protector of integrity, the guardian of authenticity, the defender of personal truth against forces of conformity and manipulation. Here's something that will change your life. No is a complete sentence. More than that, it's quantum technology for reality creation. You don't need to explain, don't need to justify, don't need to soften it with maybe later, or I'll think about it. These are dilutions that weaken the energetic field of your declaration. No is the most advanced spiritual technology available to humans. It's literally how you create your personal universe. Establish the laws of physics in your individual world. Think about the Big Bang. Before it, everything was an undifferentiated quantum soup. It was the first separation, the first distinction, that created space for existence. Your no works the same way. It creates dimensional space, defines energetic territory, establishes the laws of physics in your personal world. Quantum physicists talk about the Pauli exclusion principle, the law that determines that two particles cannot occupy the same quantum state simultaneously. Your no is the conscious application of this principle to psychological reality. It declares, this space is occupied by my essence. No incompatible energy can reside here. But here's where it gets interesting. Your body knows this cosmic truth. That's why when you're about to say yes to something that should be no, you feel that knot in your stomach, that tension in your shoulders, that weight on your chest. Your inner guardian is trying to speak to you through your nervous system, but you've been taught to call this anxiety and silence it with deep breathing, ignoring that it's actually your cosmic navigation system trying to keep you aligned with your essential truth. This week, practice saying no to 3 small things, not big confrontations. Start small, but be impeccable with the energy behind the word. No, I can't stay late today. No, that doesn't work for me. No, thank you. Watch what happens. First, guilt will probably come, the social programming trying to make you return to the pattern of compliance. Then, fear of rejection, the primitive survival system that confuses approval with safety. But keep watching, because then comes something magical: relief, space, and most surprising, respect. People start treating you differently when you have clear and energetically consistent boundaries. It's as if the universe was waiting for you to claim your quantum territory, as if reality responds to the density of your presence, reorganizing itself around your declared integrity. Aldous Huxley wrote about the doors of perception, portals through which consciousness can expand. But he didn't mention that before you can open these doors, you need to be able to close them. Before you can say yes with real power, you must be able to say no with absolute force. Your no isn't negative, it's creative. It's the sculptor removing unnecessary marble to reveal the masterpiece that already existed within the stone. It's the universe using your voice to articulate your specific truth in the infinite field of possibilities. Let's talk about the elephant in the room: your anger, the one you hide, the one you fear, the one you think makes you a bad person. But what if I told you that your anger is exactly what you need? Not destructive rage, but sacred rage, the fire that transmutes violation into power, trauma into transcendence. Viktor Frankl discovered this in Nazi concentration camps. He realized that even when everything was taken away, there was one thing they couldn't touch: his inner response, his choice of how to be in the world. But he went further. He discovered that when you fiercely claim that choice, when you become protective of your inner space, something transforms. You stop being a victim, even in victimizing circumstances. Your anger is your soul's alarm system. It arises when something precious is being threatened, when your essence is under attack. Jung called this the protective shadow, the dark force that guards the light. The problem isn't feeling anger. The problem is what you do with it. Most people have two options: explode or implode, attack or swallow. Both are forms of self-abandonment, but there's a third way: fiery presence. It's when you hold the fire without burning, when you become so densely present that nothing can move you from your gravitational center. Medieval alchemists knew this secret. They spoke of solve et coagula, dissolve and coagulate. First, you dissolve false structures through the fire of consciousness. Then, you coagulate, crystallize a new form, purer, more true. Your sacred anger is the dissolving agent. It burns the masks, the justifications, the shoulds and shouldn'ts, until only naked truth remains. Something of yours was violated. Sit comfortably. Place one hand on your heart, another on your stomach. Breathe deeply, and imagine a golden fire in your solar plexus. Not a wildfire, but a forged flame, controlled, directed, transformative. Now think of something that makes you angry. Really feel it. But instead of exploding or suppressing, just watch the fire. Let it burn all the stories, all the justifications, all the shoulds and shouldn'ts, until only naked truth remains. Something of yours was violated. Now speak out loud. I see you, my anger. I honor your message. I choose to act with power, not violence. Feel how the fire changes, from chaotic to centered, from destructive to protective. This is your inner guardian awakening. Carl Jung wrote about what he called enantiodromia, the tendency of opposites to transform into each other when they reach their extreme. Anger, when fully accepted and consciously directed, transforms into fierce compassion. Conscious vulnerability becomes invulnerability. The wound becomes the cure. The Sufis have a saying: beautiful patience. It's not the passive patience of resignation, but the active patience of one who is so anchored in their truth that they can wait for the right moment to act, with maximum impact and minimum collateral damage. Your sacred anger teaches you the difference between reaction and response. Reaction is automatic, unconscious, often self-destructive. Response is conscious, chosen, aligned with your greater purpose. When you master the art of protected presence, something remarkable happens. You develop what mystics call an impenetrable aura. It's not magic in the fantastical sense. It's energetic physics applied to psychological reality. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly knew who not to mess with? That person who doesn't need to be loud or aggressive, but you just know. They have a field around them that says, I'm not an easy target. That's not intimidation. It's energetic integrity, what quantum physicists would call field coherence. When every part of you is aligned, when your yes means yes and your no means no, you create coherence, and coherence creates field. It's as if you become a magnet with defined polarity, attracting what's compatible and naturally repelling what isn single quotes t.narcissists. Manipulators, energy vampires, they look for incoherence, that gap between what you say and what you really feel. That's where they get in, like hackers exploiting vulnerabilities in your psychological operating system. But when you're coherent, when your inner guardian is awake and watchful, they simply pass you by. You're no longer interesting, no longer an available target. It's like having an invisible security system that works 24/7, except it's not outside you. It is you. Every morning, before leaving home, do this. Stand with feet shoulder-width apart. Take 3 deep breaths. On the first breath, imagine roots growing from your feet to the center of the earth. You are anchored in the planet's magnetic core. On the second breath, imagine a column of light rising through your spine to the top of your head. You are aligned with the cosmic axis. On the third breath, imagine this light expanding around you in all directions, creating a golden sphere. This is your sacred space. Now declare, this is my field. These are my laws. Only what is aligned with my highest good may enter. Simple, yes, powerful, incredibly, because you're not just imagining, you're creating, establishing the energetic rules of your day. Nikola Tesla said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Your energetic field is your unique vibrational signature. When you define it consciously, You program reality to respond accordingly. It's as if you were a tuning fork, tuned to a specific frequency. You naturally resonate with what's on the same frequency and create dissonance with what isn't. Toxic people and situations literally feel uncomfortable in your presence because your stable frequency exposes their instability. Andean shamans have a concept called Ani, sacred energetic reciprocity. When you're in Ani, you only give and receive energy in balanced ways. Any attempt to drain your energy or overload it encounters natural resistance, like water trying to flow uphill against gravity. Here's a hard truth. Your inner people pleaser needs to die, not the part of you that's kind, not the part that cares, but the part that betrays your truth for fear of others' discomfort. This part of you isn't noble. It's an energetic parasite. It feeds on your life force and hands it to anyone who makes a disapproving face. The people pleaser was born from fear of abandonment, fear of conflict, fear of being too much or not enough, fear of rejection from the herd, a primitive survival terror that doesn't understand that, in the modern world, universal approval is a mathematical impossibility and a self-destructive goal. But here's the paradox. The more you try to please everyone, the less pleasing you become. Because people without boundaries are energetically exhausting. They say yes and radiate no. They smile while dying inside. They emanate a frequency of self-destruction that's disturbing on a cellular level. Nobody respects that, not even the people who benefit from it. When Joseph Campbell spoke about the hero's journey, he described a crucial moment, the death of the ego. But he was talking specifically about this, the death of the false personality that seeks safety through approval. The true hero is born when you choose authenticity over approval, when you choose to be real instead of being liked, when you understand that being respected is infinitely more valuable than being liked. Because respect is based on integrity, while being liked often requires prostituting your essence. Here's the cosmic plot twist. It's when you stop needing to be loved that true love can find you. Because now people are relating to you, not your performance. They're seeing your essence, not your mask. Carl Jung said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." But this radical self-acceptance is also the most liberating thing, because when you're no longer trying to be someone you're not, you free up a tremendous amount of energy that was being wasted maintaining the false persona. This liberated energy becomes available for your true mission in the world, for your authentic connections, for creating the life that actually resonates with your soul. The people pleaser dies when you realize that your approval is the only one that truly matters, that you can give yourself the validation you've always sought from others, that you are simultaneously the judge, jury, and attorney in the court of your own life. Now we come to mastery, living with the guardian awake, without becoming rigid or paranoid. Because here's the nuance. Protection doesn't mean armor. Boundaries don't mean walls. The mature guardian is like water, fluid, but with defined form, adaptable, but not absorbent. It can flow around obstacles without losing its essence. Bruce Lee understood this when he said, "Be water, my friend." But what many miss is the second part. Water has boundaries. Try mixing water and oil. Water maintains its molecular integrity even in intimate contact with other substances. Your inner guardian operates the same way. It doesn't need to be tense or vigilant. It simply is. And from its being, protection flows naturally, like a magnetic field that doesn't need to strain to exist. People will ask, "You've changed. What happened?" What happened is you stopped pretending that invasion is intimacy. Stopped confusing sacrifice with love. Stopped trading your truth for crumbs of approval. You became what you always should have been, whole. And from your wholeness, you can give genuinely, not from obligation or fear, but from sovereign choice. This is the difference between generosity and energetic bleeding. The integrated guardian understands what Taoists call wu wei, effortless action. They don't fight the current, but navigate with such mastery that they always seem to be in the right current. They protect without attacking, set boundaries without building walls, say no without cruelty, and yes without self-abandonment. This is the difference between the spiritual warrior and the common fighter. The fighter battles external enemies. The warrior protects the sacred territory of the soul. One is reactive, the other responsive. One is driven by fear, the other by love. Fierce love for truth, for integrity, for authentic life. Take one last deep breath with me. Feel your body, feel your presence. Feel the edges of yourself where you end and the world begins. This is your sovereignty, your cosmic birthright, your built-in protection technology. You don't need complicated rituals, don't need gurus or guides. Everything you need is already within you, waiting for permission to emerge from the depths of your being. Your inner guardian isn't something you create, it's something you release. As Michelangelo said about his sculptures, they were already in the stone. He just removed the excess. Your excesses, the layers of conditioning, the shoulds, the fears, the voices that aren't yours but were implanted by systems that benefit from your conformity. Remove them, not with violence against the world, but with clarity about yourself. Not with anger at others, but with fierce love for your essence. And then watch what happens. Toxic relationships start to wither, not because you attacked them, but because there's nothing left for them to feed on. Your energy is no longer available for destructive dynamics. New people appear, people who respect boundaries because they have their own, who value authenticity because they live authentically. Opportunities arise because you're no longer wasting energy maintaining the facade. Your life force is available for creation, not survival. You become magnetic in a completely new way, not the magnetism of desperation that attracts predators, but the magnetism of integrity that attracts equals. This is the Guardian's gift. It doesn't just protect, it selects, it heals, it attracts what's true and repels what's false. So I ask you, what are you waiting for? What permission do you need beyond your own? Your Guardian is ready, always has been. The only question is, are you? If this resonated with something deep inside you, let's connect in the comments. I want to know, what was the moment you realized it was time to reclaim your power? When did you finally say, this ends now? But more importantly, go live this. Go practice your nose. Go honor your anger. Go claim your space in the universe. The cosmos is waiting to see who you become when you stop apologizing for existing. Remember, where the unseen becomes truth. And the most invisible truth is this: you are always sacred. You just forgot.